Have you ever felt stuck in a conversation, like you've hit a dead end and now you're silently panicking, trying to think of something, anything to say? You're not alone. I used to feel the same way, and I hated that awkward silence so much that I decided to figure out how to never run out of things to say again. And guess what? I discovered 5 simple strategies that completely transform my conversations. Let me show you how they work. The first thing I had to do was accept that silence isn't the enemy. I used to think that every gap in conversation was a sign that I was failing, but I realized something important. Silence won't kill you. It's a natural part of conversations. Think about it. Can you remember a single time when an awkward silence ruined your life? Probably not. But I bet you can remember a lot of embarrassing moments where you tried to fill the silence with something weird or forced. So instead of fighting silence, I embraced it. When I let those gaps breathe, conversations felt more natural, and I gave myself time to think instead of rushing to say something just to avoid the silence. Here's the real game changer: active listening. Most people hear what's being said, but they don't really listen. I started treating conversations like an English teacher analyzing a novel. I paid close attention, not just to the words, but to what was unsaid. When someone mentioned something as simple as, "I cut my hand fixing my car last Sunday," my brain automatically started asking questions. What kind of car was it? Do they usually work on cars? Did it hurt? Is it their car, or do they work at a garage? One statement can open up so many possible directions. The key is to let your curiosity lead the conversation. Ask genuine questions, dig deeper, and let the other person do most of the talking. People love talking about themselves, and when you ask thoughtful questions, they'll be more than happy to keep the conversation going. I also realized something else. Interesting people have interesting conversations. When I was stuck in boring conversations, it was often because I had nothing exciting to contribute. So I made a conscious effort to develop my own interests. I started exploring things I was curious about: cars, hiking, psychology, sports, you name it. And when I found something that really resonated with me, I went all in. The more I learned, the more I had to talk about. Conversations became easier because I could connect with people on different topics and even introduce something new if things got dull. When things started to feel a little dry, I stopped overthinking and just asked whatever came to mind, even if it seemed silly. How tall are you? Do you like mowing the lawn? These might sound like random questions, but guess what? They almost always led to unexpected and fun conversations. People love sharing quirky details about themselves, and these lighthearted questions often open the door to more interesting topics. Curiosity is your best friend in a conversation. If you're genuinely interested, the conversation naturally unfolds in exciting and unpredictable directions. Here's a hard truth. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, a conversation just won't flow. And that's okay. Maybe the other person isn't in the mood to talk, or maybe you just don't click. I learned that it's perfectly fine to let go when things aren't working. I used to beat myself up, thinking I had to keep every conversation alive. But sometimes you're just watering a dead plant. If the energy isn't there, don't force it. It's not a reflection of your conversation skills. It's just life. If you want to never run out of things to say, focus on being curious and genuinely interested in others. Listen actively, explore your own interests, and don't be afraid to ask quirky questions that might seem random. And remember, not every conversation is meant to last, and that's perfectly okay.